a balance of being in the body, in the intuition, and balanced with your thinking. Not being so controlled by your thoughts, because I know a lot of the times with overthinking, it seems as if we are not in control of the thoughts, The thoughts are just going at it and we're just getting sucked in them. So we're not producing thoughts, we're getting consumed by them. And with the consumption of thoughts creates anxiety and creates stress, overwhelm, and chaos. So let's talk about it more in depth, because the thoughts are the ego. And if you don't know anything about the ego, I'm going to dive into it a little bit today in this episode. My voice is being weird. Alright. I have my paper with me, of course, and if I look down, that is the reason why. So, I want to talk about why it's easy to overthink things, because I know a lot of the times, personally, I experience kind of struggling to think of positive outcomes and positive situations and positive scenarios, right? I mostly think of worst case scenarios. Like, I don't believe it to be true, but I think of them. I am a worrier. I worry a lot about the future. I worry a lot about the tiny things. I try to make my future self comfortable, so I prepare. I try to control situations so that I feel safe. And let's say I hear a plane right now. I have a little bit of plane anxiety, right? Travel anxiety, especially if I'm alone. And I think, what if I get sick? Irrational thoughts, but they're real. Like, I'm thinking them. What if I get sick? What if, I have to go to the bathroom on the plane? I'm afraid to go to the bathroom. What if I'm too cold? What if I'm too hot? What if I get a delay? What if this? What if that? I'm stuck in these future case scenarios and thinking of like the worst possible scenarios. And it's easier for me to think of it going smoothly. Alright. So there's this analogy that I learned about a long time ago. I kind of forget where I learned it. But let's think of the caveman days. Let's say a caveman is out and about. He's hunting, he's trying to get some food, and he sees another caveman. The caveman's hand is behind his back. The other caveman, his hands are behind his back, can't see them. So he is naturally going to think, oh, does he have a weapon? Oh, do I need to protect myself? How do I survive? They're both hunting for food. They look at each other as a threat of their own survival, kind of like a low consciousness, but all they want to do is stay alive. So with the other perception of the person, of the caveman, he thinks like, oh, he's gonna get the food first, so they're in fight for their survival. He may think he has a weapon to kill him or something, because they're just trying to survive, right? So he perceives him in an animalistic ego way, because all he cares about is his survival. Now let's talk about the ego. The reason why we overthink so much and can only kind of picture worst case scenarios is because our ego is trying to keep us alive, and not in the sense that much of physically alive, but alive within the pride, dodging pain, not trying to get hurt, trying to stay alive so that we can protect ourselves, so we don't feel insecure, embarrassed, this, that. Our ego is trying to protect us from these negative emotions, right? These negative situations, not because necessarily we'll die physically, but because it perceives the world as a threat in the case of threatening the emotions, threatening the heart, the pride, it doesn't want to get humiliated, so it tries to picture every scenario to be prepared, just in case these worst case scenarios occurred, which they don't occur often. We get so in our mind and so worked up so much before something, like let's say there's an event. The event and the leading up to it is so much worse than the actual event, because during the event you'll know how to handle the situation, you'll be fine. But our mind likes to prepare surrendering to the present moment and figuring it out later. I like to think, okay? And looking at my notes, I used to, on my main channel, I used to, teach spiritual videos and never look at notes in between, but I would cut it out. But I feel like ASMR is more chill, where I just can't look at it, because we're whispering, we're relaxing, we're vibing, and yeah, I prefer just looking at it instead of cutting it out and having a lot of choppy clips. So, the ego's job is to keep us alive by imagining worst case scenarios for its survival. So I want to say that your overthinking is mostly, and I'm not invalidating, but it's mostly irrational thoughts, and we'll talk about that in a second. But our ego is outdated, because in this modern day, we most likely don't have threats left and right. We're not trying to survive necessarily, although sometimes it may feel that way. But our ego kind of thinks that, let's say someone says a hate comment, the ego is trying to fight for its survival. Our body goes into adrenaline, the fight, flight, or freeze. Let's say someone says a mean comment to you. Your body goes into the adrenaline. It's in this anxiety, confrontation, this, that, trauma, stress, any type of ego and pride. Our ego is fighting for the survival, therefore overthinking every worst case scenario. Just in case you got hurt, just in case this happened. It is a be prepared mentality, an obsession with control, like I said. Now, I wrote down, I'm gonna have to show you my notes because I wrote down a picture. So, let's lift it up. This is teacher ASMR, but right here. So, this is awareness, okay? It is pretend your awareness is a ball of light. Now, this is the mind. The mind is all of the thoughts, the overthinking thoughts of stress, fear, anxiety, lust, peace, art. I don't know what I wrote here that much, but this is your awareness. This is the thoughts. The mind's job is supposed to think. The mind, though, is not you. You are only the awareness of the mind. And through our living experience, we have identified us as the mind because we're always consumed by it. So your stomach, right? Let's talk about that. It digests food. It works with energy. Your heart beats to pump blood through your system. Your hands grab. Your hands feel. I don't know much about anatomy or the body, but your legs walk. But every body part has a job. And your mind likes to think. But just like the stomach, it digests. I can't say that, digests. Like the stomach digests, the mind thinks. But you are not the thoughts. You are only the observer of the thoughts. And it's hard to feel that sometimes because we're so consumed by it. We feel as if we are the ones in control constantly of them. But we are not fully, okay? Because we are in control of our thoughts. We can think conscious thoughts. We can produce thoughts. But a lot of the times we're getting consumed instead, So, the mind thinks. And once we realize this, I realize it a lot in meditation, but we realize we can just watch them. Right now, you can just watch your thoughts pop up. And it's pretty crazy because of the thought, and I've been meditating every day this year. I miss some days, but I've been meditating, and the main thing about my meditation is the observation of consciousness itself and what it is, where is it, where are my thoughts appearing, how are they acting. I realized that your thoughts actually appear for a second and go away right away. And it reminds me of, because in my meditation he says, shut your eyes for a second, we'll do this together. Shut your eyes, and I just want you to see your next thought. What is your next thought? And watch it appear. Do not judge it. Do not get sucked in it. Do not think about it. Just watch it appear. And how fast does it go away? That probably was not as good, because the meditation is full guided and I can only do this in a second. But if we're not consumed by it, they only pop up. Like that one game that you play in the arcade with the faces popping up and you have to hit it with the hammer down. Thoughts are like that. But the reason why we overthink is because when we think of thought, we think more again of that thought. And then we keep thinking that thought. We bring it up again and think on it and add on it. And then all of a sudden we are that thought. Our whole body. We had the thought, kept thinking it, and then our body emotionally responded. So, we are the observer, alright? And we need to learn to disidentify with our thoughts. Because if I thought I was every thought, then damn, I would be dark, I'd be anxiety, I'd be horrible, I'd be not worthy, I'd be lazy, I wouldn't be doing what I'm doing, I'd be many things. We have to disidentify and detach from it, because just like your stomach digests, your mind thinks, and it's normal, to get anxiety and to overthink about it. But I want to tell you right here, right now, that it is not you, okay? Our minds are crazy. They're programmed, they're a neural network, neural connections of our past, of our constant observation, and we are a sponge of our world, and therefore our mind is just busy as hell. So we constantly attach to our ego and believe the thoughts to be true, and therefore any thought of pride, loss, hurt, sadness, non-acceptance, fear, any fear-based thoughts, that's mostly overthinking in the ego. Any fear-based thoughts, when we keep thinking about it, our body then feels as if there is a threat, because our body does not know the difference between imagination and reality. So as we think of all these things, our body emotionally reacts to it and sends us in a fight or flight response. And let me know if you resonate with what I'm about to say. This isn't necessarily the case for everyone. Everyone has different beliefs, and I learned this concept in Kabbalah, which is a Jewish mysticism, but I took this training or whatever, but the person said that anxiety is worrying about worrying. So, anxiety is having anxiety about having anxiety. I don't know if you resonate, but there's this one time I was having this anxiety attack, and I disassociated. I watched myself. I just felt so weird and just out of this reality, and all of a sudden it created more anxiety. At first it started, very subtle, and then all of a sudden I was like, why am I feeling this way? And then I created anxiety. So it may first start off as some fear or overthinking, and then you start to get that feeling, and then you're like, why does my voice keep doing this? Then you're like, why am I feeling this way? And you start to worry about how you're feeling, and that observation of your body's natural reaction to any thought or anything gives you more anxiety. Then you go into an anxiety attack, a disassociation, So, with that being said, I never want you to worry about worrying. If you're worried or you're stressed or you're having anxiety, I never want you to think it's abnormal, because I know our mind is like, this isn't normal, you shouldn't be feeling this way, oh no, panic even more. But I just want to say that you are safe, and I want you to do whatever it takes for yourself to feel safe again. you know, get out of society for a second, get in a blanket, watch a good vibe show, YouTube video, like, just try to ground yourself, and whatever that is for you, do it, because, you know, when we get sucked in by our thoughts, it can last so long, and we might not even be aware that we are in the thoughts, we are in the mind, because it just seems so real. And that's the trick of the ego. So I want to talk to you a little bit about intuition and ego, and how to kind of know like what's true and what's not, and how to not get so consumed. So I wrote down in quotes, if it does not make you feel light, it is not the truth. The truth is truly who we truly are, you know, that observer, that ball of light that puts its placement into the thoughts, right? We are this consciousness that is there, and we can focus and shift the consciousness in every moment. A lot of the times the consciousness, this ball of light, is inward in the mind, and all these thoughts that are appearing, we feel stuck and trapped in it. That's overthinking. It doesn't feel good. It does not feel good. But this consciousness itself can also be shifted into intuition, which is spirit. And you know, there's many different conversations about this, that consciousness is spirit, and I believe that too. Like, our spirit is this light, and our ego is this separate thing, and we can focus on our thoughts, or we can shift the consciousness back to where it's supposed to be. Well, not necessarily, because, you know, sometimes I'm not saying to shit on the ego. Like, the ego is healthy in certain ways, but it's only healthy when we have control of it, when we're not getting consumed and reacting to it, but having a respect for it, and understanding of, oh, it's just trying to protect me, it's okay. And we can shift it into thinking why certain thoughts are not true, therefore creating and producing positive ones. And our ego is used, like, our ego is this conversation right now. Our ego is the thinking. Our ego is the focus, the creative mind. My voice is like, and it does this sometimes when I'm whispering, but sometimes it's like strained. It's when I put a lot of like effort into my throat. Then I know I'm whispering wrong, but when I get passionate, it's like I want to speak loud. So sometimes it's like kind of straining on my voice, but that's probably not good. But anyway, so when we can produce the thoughts, we can have healthy conversations, we can have a healthy lifestyle, make conscious decisions. But when we get consumed by it, that's when it becomes not good, because then we're living by this false reality of fear, and fear is the ego. Light and love is the spirit, is the heart, is the soul, is the consciousness, that light feeling, that intuition, that tiny voice in your soul, the one that you feel, your inner knowing. So your intuition is your presence. You will feel intuition and get intuitive downloads when you are present, because the ego works on a timeline. The ego works on the reality of time, right? So the past and the future. If you are thinking of the past, or if you are anticipating a future, that is the ego. If you are here in this moment, you are working from intuition, you are working from your heart, from the present moment. That is beauty, that is love, that is excitement, that is joy, that is your consciousness, that is what you are meant to be in this high vibe energy. But in this world, this third dimension, earth, you know, the physical realm of duality, which is the good and the bad, the thoughts tend to be the bad, and tend to attract negative, bad emotional responses. Now, I'm not saying repress your thoughts. I'm not saying repress your emotions and don't feel bad, because we're supposed to release so that we can feel light. And it's good to have duality. balance. We cannot have the good without the bad. But for today, I'm going to be talking, your intuition is this lightness, is this feeling of love and comfort. Your ego, on the other hand, is these thoughts, overthinking, past and future. So thinking about the past, thinking about the future, and talking in or out of situations. So if you're talking yourself out of a situation, if you're overthinking it, then that might be an illusional fear. Let's say there's an event and you're thinking of all the possible scenarios of what could go wrong, and you're either trying to convince yourself to get out of it, or let's say you're talking yourself in an event that you actually don't want to do, but you're trying to I probably should, that overthinking of feeling obligated, pressure, societal expectations, all of this, that's the ego. It's because you're working on the past situation, which can create some fear of a future case scenario. Let's say intuitively there's an event that's happening, that something bad is going to happen at the event, and you get this inner knowing that I should not go there. Okay, I cannot go there. That inner knowing may create a negative response in serving of the lightness. So, for example, because that kind of sounded confusing, let's say the event, something bad was going to happen, okay? You got a bad vibe thinking about it. Your intuition can send these bad vibes in order for you to know, it can use pain for you to know not to do something. When you think of something and get that, oh gosh, right? That feeling, that inner voice of I should not do this or I should not go. That's because the event itself might have something bad, but the intuition is light, is for your highest good, for your higher self, for what you should and should not do. And that probably, I don't want to stress you out by saying that, because now, my overthinking right now is saying that, what if you have thoughts that create this anxiety? How do I know if it's real, or how do I know if I should or should not do something? Intuition is a gut feeling, okay? And when I say a gut feeling, and so I wrote intuition, gut feeling, ego, talking in or out of situations, when you are really overthinking something and trying to talk your way out of something, but you have a gut feeling that it's good to go and it'll be healthy and it'll be good. Your mind can tell you many things and fears may come up, but this is actually really hard to explain because intuition is that very subtle knowing, and it's hard to explain because our thoughts are so loud. And I wish, let me think of an actual example. Starting this YouTube channel, let's say I had all of these fears of why I should not do it. Let's actually say quitting my job and starting this YouTube channel, because that is something I have done. My ego will say, how am I going to make money? That is a bad idea. You can't be successful with that. You need a plan B. That's not the norm. People don't do that. People aren't successful. Too many YouTubers, the mind goes crazy. When that inner desire that lights you up knows that you really want to do something, and you feel pulled, you feel drawn, but your mind tries to talk you out of it, out of fear. Alright, so that is the example of talking in or out of situations. Your intuition is going to pull you in certain directions. It's these nudges of knowing that I really should do this. And your shoulds are your intuition. I had this idea so long ago that your intuition of I shouldn't do this, I should do this, that is your intuition. And when your mind, I can't do this, I'm very uncomfortable, I'm scared, something bad's gonna happen, that is your mind. Okay, try to follow the shoulds, the feeling of, a lightness. And I'm not saying, oh gosh, making sense either. And I'm going off track, so that's probably why I'm being horrible at explaining this. I hope you understand. Let me sum it up real quick. Intuition, inner knowing, presence, you get it through presence, lightness and trust, gut feeling, calm and quiet. You're okay. You're okay if you do this. You're okay, do this, do that. Your intuition sounds like you know you should do it and you can do it. Your mind sounds like, I don't know if I can do it. I don't know. I don't think I should. I think I'm gonna be bad. I think people are gonna think this. That is your mind. So, the ego is a very heavy feeling of overwhelm and adrenaline. It is the overstimulated world, and it sometimes seems normal. That's why we think it's real. All of our overthinking. And we are also addicted to stress. That's why a lot of the times people don't listen to the intuition, because stress is what the body knows. The body doesn't like going out of the comfort zone. So that's why people step on their intuition. They overthink their intuition. They get the idea and then they think, was that actually it? Should I actually do that? So, here's me thinking, I don't know if this episode's good because I think I did not make sense. Alright. Another thing I want you to do is I want you to ask your thoughts. I want you to start asking your thoughts. When you have a thought, let's say, I'm not good enough, I want you to ask, is this true? And then get the answer. But is this actually true? Okay? And then, how would I feel if I was freed from this thought? Alright? How would you feel? That is the truth. When you take off that weight of the thoughts, that is the actual truth. When you take the weight of all these thoughts, you uncover the intuition, the quiet voice, the one that is the truth, the lightness, the one that feels right, the one that feels true. You may be overthinking so much, and your intuition is trying to tell you you're safe. It's going to be okay. But the thoughts overpower. But we need to separate ourselves from them because they are not us. Another thing I want you to do, let me take a sip of water real quick. I just went off and I am not even sure if that made sense because I think I contradicted many things I was saying, like talking in or out of situations. Like, I'm not sure if you understood that because I'm not sure if I fully understood it. But hold on. Talking out of situations, like I would talk myself out of a situation that is like a social event, maybe because I would get anxiety. But deeply, my intuition says it's gonna be okay. The ego is really fear-based, so it overthinks a lot about the future, and you can talk yourself out of things that are going to be fine. But the mind likes to overthink a lot, and talking yourself into situations maybe necessarily, or what, I don't know what I just said, maybe you actually feel like something doesn't feel right, but you're trying to talk yourself into it because the mind likes to step on the intuition. So that's a situation of talking yourself into things. But I want to say that the intuition could be also very strong sometimes. Like, I am not getting bad, like, it could say, I'm getting bad vibes about this person. Like, this person is no good. I don't know why. This is the common quote. I don't know why I feel this way, but I feel like, I don't know why I feel this way about this person, but something seems off. That is the intuition. It's not our analytical mind, and that's why it's hard to explain the intuition, because we might not be able to analytically understand it because it is not a part of thoughts. So, it's a feeling, it's an inner knowing, and that's why I think it's hard to explain like what it is, because it's something that is like of consciousness itself, of spirit and your higher self, and not your thoughts. And it takes practice to differentiate thoughts between intuition. So I highly recommend meditating, and this is what I recommend doing when you're overthinking. So, like I said, ask, is it true? Question it again, is it actually true? Is your thought actually true? How would I feel freed from it? I would feel good. I would feel light. I would feel so much less stressed. That is the truth. The good vibes, the positive intentions, the light is actually true. Other stuff is just a projection of the ego, which is, take it as you will, I don't know. I don't even know if that made sense. Alright, next thing I want you to do is think through your eyes. So, in this present moment, unless you're like in physical pain or something, but in this present moment, there's nothing wrong. The reason why things become wrong, the reason why we do not like our life, is because we are resisting the present moment, which takes form in many ways. Either we are thinking about the past and getting so stressed and overwhelmed about the past, obsessing over it, obsessing about a situation that happened. And then it takes form in the sense of thinking about the future. So either we are suffering from memory of the past or imagination of the future. And we are resisting the present moment because we are addicted to stress. And the present moment is just fine as is, but we resist it constantly, therefore creating anxiety and overthinking and living by our ego. The present moment is your intuition. It's your true self. It is the self that is freed from suffering. The present moment is precious. It is a gift. There's no pain in the present moment, really, because a fear is created, a fear of thought of what might happen next, and that could be in the next second, in the next 10 minutes, tomorrow, in a week, in a couple years. Like, that is painful, and it's really hard to think of the future because it's an imagination, and our ego likes to protect us, so therefore it likes to imagine the scary things and bad things that might happen so we can be prepared. Or it's dwelling on the past, someone that hurt us, what happened, what they said, what they did, fear of what someone might say next, fear of this, fear of that, projection of past thoughts, projection of future thoughts. That is the ego. It is crazy, right? It's crazy. And I want you to think through your eyes, and doing this shifts your awareness to this present moment. If I were to think through my eyes, I have my water, I see my paper, I am, wow, this microphone, beautiful. I am safe in this space, in my safe space. I am talking to you. We are talking to each other. We're just thinking about overthinking, Nothing happened. Nothing will happen. This is it. And we get to take control of it. And we get to shift our awareness, Life is good. I'm pretty safe. I have the choice to do something in the next present moment. Do a passion. Journal. Meditate. But no, a lot of the times we are reacting to our thoughts, getting sucked in, trying to distract ourselves. We are using our phones as distractions, rather using them as a tool to connect. Like, our ego's crazy, and then we are so overstimulated that our thoughts are going at it. And so, when we get to present, we will have the ability to respond rather than react. Because a lot of the times we're reacting to our thoughts emotionally due, adrenaline, anxiety. But if we were to sit here and really just detach from them and then question them and, put the spotlight of attention on them and not get sucked in, but rather start producing thoughts, illusion. Illusion of control as well. Trying to control everything as if we're not safe just to be. It's okay to just to be. It's okay to be here right now. You know, we don't have to be addicted to stress. We don't have to be thinking constantly to stay alive. We can just be here. And that's beautiful. So, in conclusion, the ball of light, which is your awareness, is the observer. It observes all of these thoughts, but it doesn't necessarily observe, because if we do not detach from them, we get consumed. We overthink, therefore creating a body response of anxiety. All of a sudden, we are having adrenaline. We're having anxiety about having anxiety. We fear the future. We fear the past. We're not present. We're getting pulled in many directions. We are overstimulated. We are overwhelmed. And we think this is all us. It's all true. It's all gonna happen. It's all bad vibes. In reality, separate. Are these thoughts true? Are they actually true though? How would I feel if I was freed from them? I'd feel good. I'd feel light. I'd feel okay. I'd feel happy, and I would feel present. That is the truth, and your intuition will communicate through in silence. So let's learn to become present with ourselves, get this overstimulation away, observe the thoughts, as in meditate, or just realize like, oh, I am not my thoughts. My thoughts like to think just like my stomach digests. My thoughts are not true. You know, you'll know what's true. You will. Don't underestimate yourself. Alright, well, I hope that wasn't too confusing. I don't know. I wanted these episodes to be like just talking, kind of word dumping, helping you. And I hope I did. I hope that wasn't too chaotic. It was a little chaotic. I'm a fellow overthinker, so you are not alone. You are not alone. Just remember, your thoughts are not you. And with that being said, I love you so much, and I hope you become more present and enjoy it. I'll be present with you. You know, it's a constant act of practice because we're getting constantly pulled away in many directions, but you're gonna be okay. And I hope you know that. And if you believe that, your intuition is crying. No. Your intuition is begging for you to be like, shh, see me, I'm here. I'm here to guide you and support you. Alright, well, I hope you enjoyed this episode. Stay tuned. New episodes every Saturday.